To sustain the power vision is manifest in the inspiration of who we are and where we come from, what it means to be Indigenous. It inspires me to do the things that I do. It inspires us as people to continue our identity of who we are and where we come from, our connection to the land and how we sustain it. It's an illustration of being who we are.
One of the main reasons we came into this, less than 0.5% of philanthropic dollars in the United States of America goes to Indigenous communities. That has got to change. We are able, because of our relationships, we are able to get that funding and that capacity building to the emerging leaders, who most of them don't even consider themselves leaders, on the ground, who know their communities so well and are really trusted people in the community. That's our network. Those are the ones, that's where we get the funding and the support to really make real change in Indian country, in our region. I get so inspired by our communities, and because they are the experts, right? They're the experts. They know where the strengths are in their community, what to build on, what the barriers are, what to address, and they're brilliant. And so it just feels so wonderful and fulfilling to be able to support that innovation, that really upholding and supporting traditional values and traditional ways, but also bringing in innovative technologies.
My traditional name is Huyath Misaks, which means woman dancing on the beach. I am Sishat First Nations, part of the New Channel Tribal Council, and I've lived in Port Alberni all of my life. My mom spent 17 years of her life incarcerated. So she spent 7 years at the Alberni Indian Residential School. She was very sick, and during that time was starved a lot of the time. And she always told me a story about a young lady who was really strong, who would run away and to an orchard up the road. She'd basically risk a beating to get fruit for people that couldn't get out of bed. And my mother was one of those people that couldn't get out of bed. And I always remembered her telling me that she starved, and about that orchard and that fruit. And as I got older, as an adult, I realized there was a lot of similar stories of a lot of people that risked their life to get fruit for other people that couldn't go, who were too young or too weak. And then when she got sick with tuberculosis, she spent 1 week under 10 years in the Nanaimo Indian Hospital. And then she was married for a short period of time, and then came back to Port Alberni and met my father and had me. And as I grew up, I worked for community living for 10 years. And my uncle George Watts came to me at work and said, "Tweety, I need you to come back and work for your people. It's time." And the woman whose job that I have, she actually had a picture of me in her desk drawer when I started, and she had already passed on. But she used to tell me I was going to do her job one day. It's a whole lot different because we're in different times. We're in an opioid crisis. There's a lot of illness in our communities. And it seemed like a good place to start was wellness. And so me and Tyrone Marshall, my nephew, we started 2 little plops of like 2 by 4 feet wide garden and just planted kale and lettuce. One bed here and one bed here. And the kale grew this high. And I wanted the earth to heal, because all of this earth seen so much pain. And if we're all energy and the earth is energy, then it needed to do healing too. And I think that it successfully has fed us, and it's done that. It's come full circle, it's done its job, and now it's time for us to move on to a new garden. The reason why this garden had to move was because of all of the findings of graves in Canada. And our nation was one of the nations that decided to do is it LIDAR, or the ground penetration. And my grandson actually worked on that crew. Although there's nothing that's been released yet to date, this was one of the sites that they did. And so my garden had to be removed from here, and I had to shift it to beside the youth center for now. I was really emotional the first time that everything was cleared out of here, because it was when I was gone one weekend and I came back and it was just done because they needed to come in to do the ground penetration and stuff and get it ready. But then I just realized that it was time. And it was time to move on, and I'll be able to do bigger and better things in different gardens and keep feeding people. Susan, who had helped with my first grant in 2021 and 2023. So in 2021, she'd help with the garden, so we could build greenhouses and make it larger and expand it. And in 2023, it helped us buy a big size freezer for our kitchen that we have. So we have enough room to be able to put all of our fish, all of our garden, to be able to harvest it and process it when we have time.
When I first got clean and sober is when I went into a sweat lodge. And there's a whole story about that, but that actually kept me clean and sober. I know that sobriety was, a gift, and these ceremonies called me, and I did it. I do them every week. I still do them every week, and I've been asked to go into the women's prisons, which, I started doing that a few years ago, and I went for 3.5 years by myself to Purdy. And I never had a problem, and I loved going in there. And I just feel so blessed when I leave there, and they're always so grateful. So I'm very honored and privileged to share sacred space with them. It's not me, it's Creator. I don't feel like I don't ever take the credit. I just always thank Creator for every woman who is in there, because we're always in the right place at the right time, no matter where we are in our lives. I learned that from women. And to me, it's about sisters lifting sisters. I feel really blessed that we can empower each other. I don't ever feel like I'm above them, that there's a hierarchy. It's about just sharing that spirit, the time, our beautiful, beautiful prayers, and our tears, our laughter, sharing our love together. It just makes a huge difference in everyone's lives. And when we come out of there, we are reborn. I'm really grateful for the people that do write the grants, and that who for the funding that comes through, and like Na'ahili too. For Susan Balbus, I've known her for years, and really like to thank her and all the women at Na'ahili for making this possible, and for continuing this way of life.
My engagement in the Seattle community over these years has been supported by Na'ahili Fund, because one of the things I bring in to relationship with diverse community is our culture, our ceremonial perspective, our reverence for the territory of the land, our reverence for the environment. And Na'ahili Fund supported my engagement in bringing ceremony to these meetings, bringing a cultural reverence to community engagement in diverse settings. And the community engagement with diversity in the Seattle area, it's important to build bridges among diverse community to be in relationship with the environment so that people have an understanding of that indigenous connection to the land.
The solutions that we support in our indigenous communities are solutions for all of the people and all of Mother Earth. We raise our hands to you. Thank you for your support of Na'a Ilahi Fund.